Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thanks for joining me. I'm Katie, and just as a bit of a treat I thought I would get US art subscription box Smart Art. I've seen maybe one or two videos on the old YouTube opening and unboxing and using these things, and I thought let's see how this compares to the UK boxes or the European ones with regards to upcrate and scrawlrbox. But before we get into all of that, if you're new here, why not hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with all the other little bits and bobs that I have going on with my channel. That includes unboxings and reviews of materials, as well as just drawing whatever I feel like. Anyway, let's get on with the swatching. The surface we have to work on is the Harmony Watercolour block by Marabou, and I must admit I like Marabou paper. It is 300 GSM or £140, acid free, light resistant, it can take a beating, and it's in a sealed block, so you need to use a palette knife to release the paper from the block. We also have a Watercolour graphite aquarelle pencil, which is a water soluble graphite pencil. Quite into those at the moment, so I was quite happy to receive that. Aqua by Spectrum Noir 12-piece set, and they are water-based markers, and I cringed when I saw Spectrum Noir. You know how I feel about that if you've been here a while, and I must admit I was quite surprised, but we will get onto that further into the video. Marabou Graphics Aqua ink set was also included in this box, and they are a water-based watercolour ink, so you can lay your colour down and then let it dry, and then if you think it needs working a bit more you can go back in there again. I've not used these before and I was quite curious about watercolour inks in general, so this was a great opportunity for me to try them. Also included was a little round paint palette and some Royal and Langnickel Aquaflow brushes, and these are awful. You can just see how easy the hair comes out of them, and I've had these before and I saw them and I thought, yeah, these are not good water brushes. You can get them off Wish or AliExpress for £1, and they're much better. So these were disappointing, and I used them as far as swatching and then they never get used again. However, on a lighter note, I must admit these Spectrum Noir pens are actually pretty awesome. I was so surprised. Now, we all know I've got a bit of a dislike for Spectrum Noir. They tend to look amazing and then sort of fail quite soon after using them. But I was really surprised by these, how well the ink dissolved when the water was applied, how nicely they went down on the paper in the first place. I was really impressed with them, and I was shook. I was proper shook. The Watercolour graphite pencil did what I expected it to. It went on like a pencil and it dissolved like a water soluble pencil, so I was pretty pleased with that, and that can go in the collection. Now for the Marabou Graphics Aqua ink set. I thought it was a bit of an unusual colour selection to add, considering we'd got quite a lot of yellows and oranges in the Spectrum Noir pens. However, we don't have a full-on deep red, so that was quite nice to be able to have that. And again, I really liked how pigmented they were, how nicely they activated once adding water to them, and I think there are probably uses beyond just using them straight on a picture. I reckon you could actually fill some sheets of paper, let it dry with the ink, and then you've got some portable watercolours with you to travel with. So I think that's quite a nice avenue to take, because it lifted off really nicely and activated really well, and you can see how rich they are and how nicely they travelled as well once adding the water, even though it was with these rubbish brushes. Never mind, that's not terrible. So first impressions, I'm pretty impressed with what we've got here. I think if they could have added something. It probably would have been better water brushes and maybe a sharpener and an eraser and maybe a liner pen, but I think maybe that's just because I'm so used to getting those in the boxes I'm already subscribed to. Also included in this month's box was a mixing palette, and it's just a plastic one, and that's a Royal & Lang nickel one. And yeah, it did a job, and I always used palettes, so another one is a bonus. Now, this box, as many subscription boxes of the art variety, came with some art prompts, and it came with weekly prompts, which I think is quite a nice idea actually. It's like an incentive to keep using the box until you get your next one, so I like that, and obviously you've got enough surfaces to work on. However, this was June's box, and well, we're well into July now, so I thought I would just do all of these prompts on one sheet. And the prompts are citrus, ice cream, flutter and standing. What a weird combo. Saying that does explain the colour palette choice which they sent to us, with all of those oranges and yellows and reds and greens. Very citrusy, summery colours. For my idea, I thought I would incorporate them all into one go, so our character is standing beneath an orange tree with an ice cream, and there is a butterfly fluttering in the top right corner. I think I did a pretty good job tying them all together, considering I've not actually had to do multiple prompts before. So let's talk about these pens, because I am really incredibly surprised. They are dual-ended, so you've got a brush tip at one end, and then it's not like a fine liner pen, but you have got a very small, fine tip, but not like a fine liner, if that makes any sense. And of course that's water soluble too, and absolutely fabulous for doing tiny little details. I thought it'd be really good for adding some texture on our character's hair, but because of how well these dissolved, a lot of that detail was lost, but that's not a bad thing, because I can always go back over it again. To get the most out of the markers, I swirled them around in the palettes that was included, and added some water to dilute it, just so I have some different levels of pigmentation, of course. I refused to use those brushes that came with them though. I just don't want hairs all over my work, so I just grabbed the nearest one out of my collection and used that instead, and that worked out a lot better for me. I had to mix up a skin tone because, well, there wasn't really anything suitable on its own, but that's okay. I just mixed some of those reds and yellows and oranges together to get one, and by applying it in thin layers that also kept it light as well. The oranges, I used a combination of the pens and the ink in the bottles that were included, and again that worked really nicely. I kept them quite nice and loose and just added a few details where the shadows would lie and where the leaves are, and I really like how this turned out. I'm so impressed with those pens, I'm so surprised. I tried to incorporate the 4B water-soluble graphite pencil, but they just didn't seem an amazing match, but all is not lost. Like I say, I have a bit of a thing for those at the moment, which I might explore in a future video. To combat this, I just used the pens and mixed the colours on the paper, and I just really wanted the outlines on the branches on the oranges really, so they stood out and gave some sense of perspective. I did try. For the grass, I created a gradient using the two colours of green, and I really like how they turned out too. I'm just really impressed. They just worked so nicely. They didn't even shred the paper, which I half expected it to do. For our lovely butterfly, I used the Marabou ink and added a very fine layer down, and then went in with the colour Neat just to add a bit of texture, and I go on to add more details with those gorgeous pens. So, would I get Smart Art Box again? Well, I'm actually quite impressed with what you've got. It does mention the prices for each item, and they do say the retail prices exceed what you pay for the box. However, it cost me £40 to get it over here. I think it's $49.95 in the US. That's quite a lot of money, and I had to wait over a month for it to arrive, so those are the downsides there. I think as well, and most subscription boxes tend to do this. They kind of put in a few cheap items to bulk it out, those water brushes for example, and well, I'd rather have one good quality one rather than 3 useless ones. But you know, every box, whatever you subscribe to, it doesn't even have to be art, there's always something in there. I really like the presentation though. I like the nice full-sized materials that you get. There's enough there for quite a few projects and beyond. So yeah, I'm not going to get one for now just because of the price. It is a lot of money per month on top of the existing subscription boxes I have. However, I might go back there again, so that's good. I really like what I managed to create with it. I like the fact there's 4 weekly prompts, because that just keeps engagement with your box rather than open it, do one prompt and then it disperses with the rest of your stuff. Anyway, I would like, as always, to hear what you guys think about it, and if you subscribe to this box, what are your experiences? I'm really happy with how the drawing turned out and the materials, and I hope you like it too. If you found this video useful or enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up, and if you're new here and haven't done so yet, please subscribe, it really helps me out, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!